Okay, you're good to go, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good afternoon, members of the public, staff, and council. Welcome to this special Friday afternoon early edition of our council meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that the September 17th regular council meeting of the Township of South Glengarry be opened at 1:31 p.m. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the playing of our national anthem. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments, Madam Clerk?
Yes, through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. We do have a deletion from the agenda this afternoon, that being item 7AA, the staff report regarding a municipal drain petition. So that item will be removed from the agenda. We also have 2 items that have been requested to be moved into other business from information only. Those being item 7DC, which is the departmental update for the Planning, Building and Enforcement Department, as well as 7DD being the departmental update for infrastructure services.
Okay, perfect. Are there any other amendments to from other members of council? Seeing none, moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes from the September 7th meeting. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Alrighty, moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that the minutes of the September 7th, 2021 meeting, including the closed session minutes, be adopted as circulated. All those in favor with the motion? Thank you. Motion is carried. Okie dokie. Moving on to new business staff reports. 7B, funding recap. Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just pull up that document. So I listed under point number 1 of the grants that we have received recently regarding COVID.
Are you going to be sharing your screen?
Oh, I can. I didn't think I was going to, but I'll share what I see here just a moment.
Just so the public knows what you're talking about.
Perfect. Can you see it now?
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Okay, yes, thank you. So under point 1, I demonstrated the modernization and COVID related funding. And you can see the column there. It is a significant amount. The limits are over here. There's none on the first 2, but the rest are supposed to be no capital. So we've worked around those. In addition to this, we have received other grants and are applying for several others. So It's been a pretty busy year that way, offsetting costs, which is always nice of things that we want to do. So that's actually great for us as administration. I'll just scroll down a little further to point number 10, the summary of the remaining funds. So we have used all the modernization funding, and that's the main point and timing of this. And by used, I mean spent or allocated, because there is modernization funding available to us, which allows us only if we've allocated everything. So this staff report, in particular, the resolution, is to show the province that, yes, we have intended to spend it, we have spots for it. That can change through subsequent staff reports. So if something changes, we're not stuck to this, but it's showing it's already allocated. So we have allocated most of it. You'll see the two bottom ones from 2021 COVID funding, approximately, I guess it's 190,000 plus or minus, maybe 100. Yeah, 190,000 to keep it there. Last year in direct costs, we had spent 128,000 for COVID, and 131 we used in terms of lost revenue. So at the end of the year, I don't foresee us having problems allocating that money to spots and locations. So we were not at risk of giving some back, which I think that we're able to allocate doesn't come from them, and we'll probably end up in probably quite good reserve. In addition, we've sold a lot of land again this year. So I have a staff report upcoming from the 2020 surplus leading into the budget talks come November, but that's not this report. Just to say, it seems we're in good financial stead, and that's what point number, I guess, 11 touched on slightly. So I'm here to ask you to resolve that you, per that resolution here, we have spent or allocated all that money. Specifically, you'll see on page number 27, a detailed list of where it is. Again, some of these can change. I've tried to keep staff reports where possible, and if you have any further questions to them, I'm very glad to go down those roads. And particularly, if I can't get them to you right now, I'll get them to you shortly thereafter. I keep decent track of our staff reports and where money is. These are the ones that are allocated on that second column, and you can see here we're showing that there is $0 remaining. As you know, with modernization funding, there was no real reporting mechanism to it. There were no limitations on what you could do with it. I think we've done a pretty good job, as you can see here, going through eScribe. It's items that we would have done anyway for the most part. So it's great to save taxpayer money that way in spending money where we were already going to spend money. And then I carry on further to show a few of the other spots, our office renovation, that social services relief. Some of the smaller things for office renovation comes from Safe Restart. And then these two last ones are the ones we had. So that's a summary of this whole report. I'll just stop sharing my screen so that you can see everybody again. I am not struggling in doing that for a moment. I'm only a little quicker at this. Sorry, everyone. So we should be back to visible. Thank you for your patience. That's the summary of it. If you have further questions, I'm glad. And the big timing for this is the modernization funding. There's a grant available, but we have to have it fully allocated to apply for it. So we're looking for that resolution. And the caveat is some things can change. We can always staff report later.
Perfect. Lachlan, thank you very much for this report. This report is such an important report. It shows we've got to tap into these grants. We've got to spend the money the way we're supposed to spend it, and we need to push forward with modernizing every element of what we do for our community. If someone can pay a bill online, if they can apply for a permit online, and we're being given this money to do such things. So I think we need to task all staff to make sure that we're not leaving anything unturned, no page unturned, and no grant money not spent in the areas that it's supposed to. Are there any other questions or comments from members of council? Councillor McDonnell.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I guess, Mr. McDonald, just so I guess it is plain and clear, the reason we are bringing this report, as you said, is to highlight that we've allocated this modernization funding from the province of Ontario, so that we can reapply to get more modernization funding. Correct? We have to have it done. It's more or less just to highlight that we're using it and there is a need for it in the township, and that would make us ultimately more or eligible for more funding, right?
Correct. The timing is for the eligibility. We've had already allocated, so we're not trying to just time this it's just for the timing. You're exactly right. I think it's intake number 2 or 3, and you have to have allocated the money from this. This money originally started 2019 in the spring. It came to us, kind of sat on it for a year, and then kind of, well, certainly we started spending it as Deputy Mayor Warden was saying, to try and leave no stone unturned in terms of helping our taxpayers. So yes, the timings so that we can apply for another grant to do more things.
Perfect. Just to clarify, I guess we aren't bragging at how much we've spent over the last 2 years, but it's the fact that we're showing that it is going to good use, and we're definitely in need of more from the government when they're willing to give it to us.
Yes, and I can assure you from knowing the other municipalities, I think we have applied it on the larger, on the more items, right? So we've applied to a lot of small items that we needed to do, whereas some municipalities have applied it to larger items. So we've got a large value out of it. Some municipalities put it towards roads projects. That's not what I think it was intended for. We have honored what the province wants, and we are certainly not bragging about how much we spent. We had to spend it, and we have spent it, I believe, quite prudently. So I'm happy to report that.
Thank you. I certainly concur with that. We have spent it very wisely and put it to good use for our residents. Tim, Mr. CAO, did you want to say something?
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you to council. On the October 4th council meeting, we'll come back with a staff report that relates to the modernization funding number 3, stream number 3 opportunity. We're going to meet with staff in the next few weeks to come up with what we suggest we apply for in the next round of funding. And on that note, I want to thank staff. We're pretty proud of the fact that we're really beating the bushes for grants and opportunities to digitize and modernize and move forward in the township. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Yep, thank you for that. I certainly second what you just said. Are there any other questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 125-2021 be received, and that the council of the township of South Glengarry accepts the, oh, my apologies, I didn't go to the next one. Moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that staff report 126-2021 be received, and that the council of the corporation of township of South Glengarry confirms that all funds received through the municipal modernization grant 2019 have been spent or allocated. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to staff report 127-2021. Ms. Campo.
Yes, through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So this report kind of ties on to Mr. McDonald's report with regards to funding and modernization grants. So Council, you may recall earlier in the summer, you received a report advising you that we had been successful in obtaining some funds through the second intake of the municipal modernization program to complete a current state assessment of our records management and to get some recommendations for moving forward with digitized records. So what's before you this afternoon is a transfer payment agreement. So this is just an agreement that we have to enter into with the province in order to receive those funds, which has to be adopted by bylaw. So that's what's before you today, subject to any questions.
Okay, are there any questions of council? Seeing none, we're very happy to get this, and it will be put to good use. Moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that staff report 127-2021 be received, and that bylaw 76-2021 being a bylaw to enter into a transfer payment agreement be read a first, second, and third time, pass, signed and sealed in open council the 17th day of September 2021. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, that's a long one. And then moving on to My apologies. Grant zoning bylaw amendment, Miss Haley. There's a lot of pages between this report and the next, so I apologize.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So this staff report pertains to a site-specific zoning amendment for a property that's located at 6855 Simser Road, which is a private road located off of County Road 2, east of Glen Walter. The purpose of this staff report was we received an application to amend the zoning for this property in early 2019. And council may recall when this application was received, we did hold a public meeting, but I do realize that was quite some time ago. And I'm willing to go through a little bit more detail on this application with you just to try and refresh your memory. So to summarize, the property is currently developed. It contains an existing dwelling along with 3 detached sheds. And the property owners were looking for an opportunity to redevelop the property to improve what they currently have. The property is owned by a family, so they were looking to create a secondary dwelling unit on the property if possible. However, our bylaw does not allow for secondary dwelling units to be located on private roads without going through a process to determine if it's feasible to add another dwelling unit, both in terms of access, maintenance, emergency responses, things like that. In this case, too, the property is surrounded by water, the St. Lawrence River and a canal. So it makes it a little bit more tricky when you propose new development because it becomes difficult to meet all the required setbacks in the zoning bylaw. However, because this property was already developed and existing, it's located on a manicured lawn, entirely mowed with a driveway and, as I mentioned, already an existing dwelling. So the property owner proposes to remove or demolish the existing dwelling and to construct 2 new dwellings, one being the primary dwelling, one being the secondary dwelling. And they would also then, those dwellings would also include either a carport or an attached garage. Those details have not been determined as of yet. However, that would be required if and when they choose to apply for a building permit. And then also to remove sheds and construct an attached garage, or construct a detached garage. I apologize. I'm not going to go through all the reductions and setbacks because it's very clear in the chart what the reductions and setbacks will be. That's also incorporated into the bylaw attached that's recommended to be approved. I would like to point out, though, the time frame that occurred. So as you can see, this application was filed in February. You realize that we have timelines under the Planning Act that we need to process applications, and our goal is to always make sure we're following those timelines. However, when we have an applicant that requests a delay or we need additional information, we work with the applicant to make sure that we are gaining the information that's necessary to be able to move forward and make a recommendation. We have the support of the applicant to take our time on this file. They also needed to work with the Raisin Region Conservation Authority to obtain a regulation permit, which was a completely different process. And all of that occurred, which allowed us then to move this file forward starting in 2021. You can see in the report that there's been lots of review on the file. The RCA has provided a couple of different comments throughout the process. Those comments have been addressed and the RCA can now support the application. It was prudent for me to have the RCA's comments and support in order for me to make a recommendation to council to approve. You will also see in my staff report, I highlight the different sections of the provincial policy statement where this application conforms, as well as the official plan. So in closing, we are recommending that this zoning amendment be approved, and it would result in a site-specific amendment to allow for a new development, as I explained, with the reduced setbacks outlined in the bylaw. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have because I understand it's been some time since you've participated in the public meeting and seen the file, but I'm hoping my report is clear. So thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haley, for the detailed report. This file has been circulating across our desks for some time, and I'm happy to see that the RRCA is on board for this development. And I know that the the applicant is happy to move forward. So are there any other questions of members of council? Councillor Jaworski?
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor Warden. Thank you, Ms. Haley, for your report. As you mentioned, it's been a while, so I do really appreciate the detail that you put in the report because, yeah, it did definitely refresh my memory. So as Deputy Mayor Warden commented already, the RCA is in support. They don't oppose the application. And also, I did just want to comment that I can see that the applicants are doing a very, like, they were working very hard to stay within the site. I mean, the development lines that had already been previously established, so they weren't going beyond those. So thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 128-2021 be received and that bylaw 77-2021 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 38-09, the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the Township of South Glengarry to rezone the property legally described as west part of lot 23, concession 1 front in the geographic Township of Charlottenburg, now in the Township of South Glengarry, County Glengarry, also known as 6855 Simser Road, from limited service residential LSR to floodplain holding to limited services residential exception 7 LSR-7 and floodplain holding FP. Be read a first, second, and third time passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 17th day of September 2021. The Council of the Township of South Glengarry confirms that the public comments received on this application were carefully reviewed and considered, but did not result in the need to refuse the zoning amendment application. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next one. Again, Ms. Haley, staff report 129-2021.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So this staff report pertains to Williamstown Public School, which we're all very familiar with, and that school is within the Upper Canada District School Board. The school board wishes to redevelop this property in order to be able to add quite a large addition to the school, relocate the portables, only 2 of them I should add, as well as create a new bus loading zone and install a new septic system, as well as a new sign that would be located along John Street or County Road 17. This application has gone through an extensive review in terms of the proposed construction, site layout. We were obligated to notify and circulate this to the United Counties of SD&G. We did receive their comments, and their only 2 requirements for this project was an application for a new sign, as well as if they couldn't meet the county road setback, which we know they do, but we include that in the site plan agreement just to be on the safe side. This application also had quite a review with our building department. Our building department, as well as our septic inspector, had worked closely with the designers to understand the system, the upgrade, the new components of the system, and they are supportive of what's being proposed in this location. And then it's also been reviewed by our fire department, with our fire chief posing some questions to ensure a fire provision, and those questions have been responded to adequately by the school board. So staff have approved the site plans. As you can see, there's been a number of plans that have been submitted with this application, and I've listed them in the agreement. So we are recommending to council to approve the site plan agreement, and that will allow the Upper Canada District School Board to move forward in applying for a building permit application when they are ready to start construction at that location. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Deputy Mayor, I should say.
Yep. Thank you very much, Ms. Haley, for your work on this file. It's we all know the school is bursting at the seams, and this is a step forward. Are there any questions of members of council? Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor Warden. And as you just noted, yeah, the WPS has been bursting at the seams basically since Martintown Public School was closed. So this is definitely an addition that is well overdue. And I didn't do the math this fall, but historically WPS by percentage is the most overcapacity school in the Upper Canada. So it's fantastic to see this moving forward. However, I do wish that, as a municipality, that we could have been more involved in the planning of the site plan, because I think there's fantastic potential for synergies with the arena being, the direct neighbor. And I think that it could have provided even more benefits to our community at large. I also do wish that the addition could be bigger, because the enrollment at WPS, which last I checked is 362 students this fall, they won't all be accommodated in the addition. So there will be still portables. There will probably still be some students over at Charlan. But on the positive side, speaking of the future, I know that, there was the letter between the township and the UCDSB on exploring a shared vision for the site. And the last time I asked staff for an update on that, there hadn't been any progress on that point, but I was wondering if I could ask for another update and just see what the future might bring in terms of shared vision with the UCDSB. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jaworski. Mr. CAO, did you want to respond to that question?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you. As has been noted, we're extremely pleased as administration and as a municipality that the school board and the Ministry of Education finally recognized the need to expand WPS. Long overdue, certainly welcome to the community. And yes, it can be bigger, but that there has been an investment of will be an investment over $3 million. The Upper Canada District School Board has a couple of things in their strategic plan. One is communication and the other is collaboration. And we've certainly, as a township, communicated and collaborated the best we can. There was a letter over a year ago that went to the board from Council to the Board of Trustees. And then it was decided through the Board of Trustees from the Upper Canada District School Board to bring it down to the administrative level. So General Manager Haley and I recently had a meeting online with the new director, Ron Ferguson, and Executive Superintendent Jeremy Hobbs. We talked about opportunities that included shared parking, pathways, shade structures, playground. We also have existing collaborations with the arena. There are a number of tournaments there. Our kids are often going, I say our kids, the community kids from Charlan and Williamstown are often going across to school. We've hired some students recently as operators. So there you go. I mean, I think I'd have to confirm this, but out of the 6 students we're hiring, because we have more demands with COVID, as you are aware, that 4 are from Charlan, so they can walk right across the street. And we need to point that out to the board, that we're not just a partner, we're an employer for students. Our recreation and facility staff are always open to working together with staff. In fact, we went over this morning when it was take your tractor to school day, and we were present and talking to staff and members of the community. So we're always open, and the dialogue will be there. What I think we've learned in the last year is we can't just sit back and wait. We have different things we're looking at for our rec master plan and the arena. Recreation in general has really come to the forefront with COVID. So it's time for us, I think, as a municipality to be a little more, not just collaborative, but maybe a little more ask and want and demanding of the school district. So I'm open to questions if there are any, but I think I've outlined it pretty well there for you.
I agree.
Thank you very much, CAO Mills. I know that you are working very hard on this file, and it's very much appreciated.
And I also want to thank the planning and the building department staff and the recreation staff, that we recognize the importance of the community schools there. It's like a campus. When you're there in the morning, you see what the buzz that goes on with Charlan and Williamstown. We're committed to that.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that staff report 129-2021 be received, and that bylaw 78-2021, being a bylaw to enter into a site plan control agreement for the property legally described as part of lot 50 concession 1 North Raisin River in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in the township of South Glengarry, addressed as 19754 John Street, known as Williamstown Public School, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 17th day of September. And furthermore, that the deputy mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the site plan control agreement. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you all very much. Moving on to 7AF. Chief or Mr. McDonald? You're both named on the top of the staff report. I see Chief on there.
Yes. So good afternoon. Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I will handle this report today. The township has, over the last month or two, upgraded our telephone system to voice over internet protocol, more often known as VoIP. VoIP enables traditional telephone services to be handled over the internet. This greatly increases the functionality and options for systems such as that. The Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry County IT department is the group who assists us with our IT needs, and we've been working actively with them to implement this program. The current setup that we have now has our VoIP program working over legacy, or in a better wording would be traditional copper lines. That system is a step towards where we want to go. The full system would be true over the internet, so it would be fiber optic, which would greatly enhance our functionality, but also allow us to significantly reduce the number of legacy phone connections that we have today. Everyone pays for one or more phone lines in your own residences, and any of those that we can reduce will significantly save money to the municipality. So to step up to the next layer, the counties actually have completed this. I think it was actually in 2020. They have gone out to communication providers and they signed an agreement with Rogers Communications Canada Inc. That corporation, that agreement that they have allows them to have this fully functioning system. With that, our next stage, our administration's preference would be to leverage the existing agreement with the counties so that we can, in essence, sign on to their package. It would save us the need to go out on our own, and we would have that common system with the counties. The counties, this agreement has already gone through County Council and has been voted in favor of, and now it's being brought forward to yourselves as South Glengarry Council to either agree or recommend that we proceed on our own. So administrations, once again, our vision would be to continue to work with the counties and sign the agreement as is in the staff report. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for your report, Chief. Yes, I certainly supported this at County Council as well. Basically, we signed on with this provider as they were offering a better service for less price. And I also think that Township South Glengarry should tap into this to see savings for our residents. And this technology has improved over the last number of years. It's gotten a lot better. I believe the first step that we did a couple years ago was VoIP. And then this one here has, it just has better goods attached to that agreement. And I'm certainly in favor of us supporting this. Are there any questions or comments of members of council? Seeing none, moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that staff report 130-2021 be received, and that bylaw 79-2021 being a bylaw to enter into a voice over IP agreement with the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 17th day of September 2021. And furthermore, that the deputy mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all applicable documents. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to 7AG, Ms. Baggs.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm very pleased to present Council with these two CIP applications. Both are for new signage, with one in South Lancaster, one in Lancaster. One in Glenwalter, one in South Lancaster. You may remember that Gilles Barber's Shop had an application a little while back for some replacement of windows and doors, and now he's taken it to the next step and added additional signage to his windows and also a brand new roadside sign. So the CPAC committee reviewed and made the recommendation to council. And so that application would be approximately $1,000 and $1,085 towards the new signs for Mr. Burgo and his business. So that's exciting. And also for the second application, it's a brand new business going to be located in South Lancaster at the former Old Kirktown. The new business owner, Christine McCool, has just recently purchased the building. It's currently being painted as we speak. And this application is for the new signage to replace the old sign that is currently there right now with the new name Marigold Market. The really nice thing about Marigold Market is that it's going to be an opportunity for many small business owners within the community, because it's going to host a lot of crafters and makers throughout all of South Glengarry and beyond. So it's a really great opportunity for a lot of people, but especially Ms. McCool. Also, to just as a side note, this application was actually filled out on our new online application for our CIP. And it went really, really well. It makes the process a lot smoother, a lot more accurate. It helps the individual applicant kind of walk them through as they're filling out the application, and it helps think through the process a little bit easier. We've got really great feedback so far, and I'm looking forward to more applications to come through this way. Whenever the application is completed, the Economic Development Officer would automatically get an email saying that there's a new application received, and then that triggers the phone call to the applicant. Of course, there's always lots of conversations before the application is completed. However, it's nice to know that once it's done, that you know that it's there, you have a chance to review right away, and it's clear, and it's on the computer, and it can be actioned immediately. So for the Marigold Market application, for their new sign, 50% of their lowest quote was $775. So that is the amount that they're asking for from council today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Baggs. I'll open it up to the floor. Councillor McDonnell.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Baggs, for getting these so quickly here to council. I think this meeting only happened on Monday. It was a bit of a struggle, but we got through it with some technical difficulties. I guess I have no issue with any of these applications. The committee didn't either. I think this is exactly what the committee and the programs in place for. It's to help small local businesses either get on their feet and running with new signage, or helping longstanding small businesses maybe get themselves a makeover. So it looks, I think both projects will be great and well appreciated by the business owners. And I guess we'll all miss Old Kirktown, but I guess it's good to see a new business filling that void pretty quickly, and I guess a new community approach to that business as well to fill the building up. So good on these businesses for applying, and hopefully we keep getting more.
Yep, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to second what Councillor McDonnell just said, everything that he said, and also thank you to Ms. Baggs for getting this together so quickly. And please convey Ms. Baggs and Councillor McDonnell my thanks to the members of the CIP committee as well.
Not a problem. We missed Ron at the meeting. And I just wanted to say that here is another digital tool that we now have in our chest. The streamlining of these applications now through online just makes everything so much easier for the applicants and staff. So I'm very happy to hear that these applications are now digital. Moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be it resolved that staff report 131-2021 be received, and that bylaws 80-2021 and 81-2021 being bylaws to enter into CIP agreements with Christian Borgo, Jill's Barbershop, and Christine McCool, Marigold Market be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 17th day of September 2021, and furthermore that the deputy mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all relevant documents. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to 7AH, traffic calming policy. Mr. LeBlanc.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Good afternoon. So the traffic calming policy at the August 3rd, 2021 regular council meeting, council approved the first and second reading of a traffic calming policy for the township of South Glengarry. The purpose of this policy is to provide township staff with a systemic approach for the initiation, investigation, and implementation for traffic calming measures for township roadways. This policy does not apply to county roads or provincial highways. So since that last meeting on August 3rd, there have been no additional changes to the policy. The policy is before council this afternoon for a third and final reading.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of council? Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor Warden. Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc, for bringing this back. I'll start off by saying I apologize that I wasn't able to get these questions to you in advance of the meeting. But in your report, you say that there wasn't any change, but in the original draft that we had under step 4, there was it looked like a placeholder for having an open house, and that's removed in the current version. And I know at the meeting in August 3rd, I had raised a few concerns about how high the bar was in terms of having the traffic calming policy come into effect. Like, for example, if you want traffic calming on a 50-kilometer-per-hour road, if it's just based on speed, the 85th percentile. So almost everyone on that road has to be going 75 before it starts triggering this road. So I think if we're talking about, I think we have Somerstown Estates on the agenda later on, that would be an example of a road where people have to be going 75 before the policy comes into effect. So I raised a few other things at the meeting, just how I thought the bar was too high. So I didn't think I was the only one that had some of those concerns, but maybe I was. But I'm just wondering why none of that how come there weren't any changes, I guess, based on those comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, can I, so through that, I do recall the speed limit. I know you said it was mentioned too high. We do not have any roads in the township that have a posted speed limit of less than 50 kilometers an hour. I know you had mentioned about trying to get it down to 40, but we don't have any 40-kilometer-an-hour zones. We do have zones, which are school zones, but that's only during certain times. There's nothing posted.
Right. No, I think, sorry, if I may, Deputy Mayor Warden.
Yes, please.
That's not what I'm trying to say. My understanding of the traffic calming policy is that there's like a chart as to when a road qualifies for traffic calming, and traffic calming, that's lowering the speed limit. To my understanding of the policy, is not the only tool we have, but the score sheet for a road to be considered for traffic calming, it talks about speed and the other features. And unless I'm misunderstanding the scoring, the way I understand it is if someone is in a zone where it's 50, and they want to apply for having like traffic calming to their road, all of the many different options that are available, if it's based on speed, they would have to your review would have to demonstrate that the mass majority of cars traveling on that 50-kilometer-an-hour road are going 75 for them to get that 35 points for the policy to come into effect, which to me is far too high a barrier, particularly when we look at other zones that have other areas of the province that have these kind of policies. They have a lower threshold.
Okay,
So I'm not asking for having 40-kilometer-hour roads.
my apologies for that. I also know that the policy also takes into consideration the volume. So it's not only just the speed, it's also the volume. So with all that factoring together, that sort of creates that. I understand what you're saying, and I can definitely appreciate that, and I will definitely look into that further.
So, all right, so then basically then we should postpone this and get it right. I think basically we all agree that we need to have some sort of a formal process. And I think I know everybody's had a lot on the go the last couple of weeks. We've been very busy. So I'm going to ask that council postpone this. We'll vote on it and postpone it and have it come back at the next meeting with some of those adjustments. Councillor McDonnell.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So I guess we'll just, like you said, I guess we'll just postpone this or pull it off the agenda for today. Just one thing to, I guess, keep in mind, I guess, when you drive through the city of Cornwall on, say, 2nd Street, for example, they have put in some of these traffic calming measures, or those little posts that you see often. For example, Saint Satik uses them quite often. Maybe it's be something worth looking into to see what the what the threshold is for the city of Cornwall. I know it's probably a little different because they do have it's pretty clear to them where they would need it, but maybe they do have a threshold they're working with, and see if there's other rural municipalities around that we can compare them to. Just if that is the threshold that they're working with, then maybe we'd be surprised at how fast some people are traveling. Maybe there are some of these roads in our township that are meeting that threshold anyways. So it'd be nice to see some comparables to make sure we're not putting something in that's either too high or too low. I personally do not want to see it too low. So
okay, Mr. CAO. I'll go to you in a second, Councillor Lang. Is this something that the roads committee could maybe take a look at, or is that getting too down in the weeds? Looking for some advice, Mr. CAO.
So through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, this is the time of year where the weeds are bad, eh? So certainly I'm sure that the roads committee could look at it as well. Just of note through you that we do have a tender out to get prices. So we will be ready to roll once the policy is approved to consider. We'll have prices for traffic calming devices, including the ballers and signage that Councillor McDonnell has alluded to.
Okay, so then it's not necessary to go down. So I guess basically what we'll need to do, we'll need from you, Mr. LeBlanc, is to to tweak the scoring mechanism, circle back and just double check everything. I kind of agree with Councillor Jaworski that maybe the threshold's too high. And I mean, when it comes to public safety and the safety of the kids on the road and whatnot, it would be best if we just make sure we get this right. Councillor Lang, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and through you. Not a great amount to add. Apologize to Mr. LeBlanc that we didn't get back to him a little more formally. I do know we made some of these comments at the last meeting, and like you said, everybody's busy. We should have got them in writing to him so he had something concrete to go on. But I agree, we need to get it right before we move forward. So let's chat about it at the committee meeting and bring it back to the next council meeting.
Thank you. Final comments to Councillor McDonnell.
Yeah, I guess just to some, I agree with you, Councillor or Deputy Mayor Warden, with what you said to in regards to revisiting it. Just I guess if we can get some comparables, especially if it's going to the committee, it'd be nice to at least see, say if there's another rural municipality in the in Eastern Ontario that's got it, it'd be nice to see, or Saints a ticker. Even I'm not opposed to seeing Quebec's numbers.
Okay, thank you. So just would like to circle back. Councillor Jaworski.
I'm sorry, I know you said you didn't want any more comments, but just to be quick, it's just, we know we have certain areas in the municipality today that have some speeding issues, or the residents in those specific areas have concerns. I think one good way to test this is to see, would one of those areas today even qualify under this plan? And my quick math is that they don't. So I think maybe, in addition to Councillor McDonnell's excellent suggestion to look at ones around us, to also consider like the actual experience that we're having right now in our municipality.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we can name them all off Green Valley, and the list goes on and on. So, okay. So thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'm going to read the motion and we are going to postpone it. And that's how you would like it to be handled? Okay, perfect. So moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Sam McDonnell. Be resolved that staff report be received and that the bylaw 70-2021 being a bylaw to adopt a traffic calming policy for the Township of South Glengarry be read a third and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 17th day of September. All those in favor to postpone? Motion is carried. Thank you. Motion's postponed. Thank you very much, Mr. LeBlanc. We're looking forward to having this back and getting it done properly. Thank you. Moving on to staff report 136-2021. Ms. Haley, Open James Crescent.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Administration is very pleased to bring this staff report before council today, and thank you for allowing us to add it as fairly last minute item to the agenda. We've been working really closely with the developers, Malian Excavation, for the last few months in hopes that we would get to this point in the plan of subdivision process where we'd be able to be bringing a report to council in hopes to issue building permits. So the purpose of the report before you today is to open James Crescent as a public right-of-way and to remove the 1-foot reserves that were previously established located on the intersections of James Crescent and the Lone Boulevard. The purpose of establishing those 1-foot reserves is a common practice through subdivision processes so that you don't allow for development to occur in subsequent phases until the developer and the engineers have had the time to complete their design, complete the construction, and then review the design and put us in a position where we're able to bring a report to council to say that it's been constructed to a point that we are satisfied that we can safely open the roads and allow those roads to be utilized by the public. So we're at that stage today. This will allow us to open up 10 new lots, and this phase of the subdivision was actually separated into phase A and phase B. And the reason for that was to assist the developer to be able to focus on one section of the subdivision at the time. And it also makes it a little bit more affordable for the developer because, as you can see in my report, they're obligated to file securities with our office. So we do have times where the developers feel they can meet the deadlines and then things happen or the market changes. It's always our goal to have the deadlines met, to work with the developers, but sometimes there are some things that are out of control. And we do work with the developers to make sure that their plan is to move forward. If there was a plan that they weren't moving forward any longer, there was issues, we would have come back to council before now, but we never felt that along the way. So therefore, we recognize that those dates are delayed, we're behind, but we're here today where we're recommending to council to open them. And what we did in the last couple of weeks was we worked with different property owners that were very anxious to get their building permits. Our building official enabled them to apply, knowing their applications would be deemed incomplete because we needed this report to go before council. But it allowed staff to take a look at some applications when they had some time so that when this report is approved, and I hope it's approved, they'll be able to issue permits very quickly. And we believe we have 3 of them that want to start construction now. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I hope there's enough detail in the report. I did attach the letter from EVB Engineering, which is the engineering firm for the developer. And just to point out to council that there are a few items outstanding, but we still have another step in the subdivision agreement that allow us to receive as-built to make sure all of those items are addressed. So we feel we're moving along in the process and we're ready to open those roads. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haley. This file has been going on for since last term. So I thank you for all your work on that file, and I will be happy to see it passed. Are there any other questions or comments for members of council? Seeing none, moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that staff report 136-2021 be received, and that bylaw 83-2021 being a bylaw to remove 1-foot reserves and accept certain lands as road allowances within the township, and to dedicate same to the public as use as public highway be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council the 17th day of September. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. This is a good one. Okay, moving on to staff report 133-2021, Mr. CAO.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through you. The report that I'm bringing to you today is recognition of September 30th as National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, it's hard to believe, it sat from 2008 till 2015, so it started 13 years ago. The government of Canada is committed to reconciliation, ensuring that the tragic history and the atrocities of residential schools are not forgotten. That's why the federal government has designated September 30th as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. It's an opportunity for our staff to reflect, to take part in activities, to take part in Orange Shirt Day, which originally started on September 30th to recognize the atrocities in residential schools. You'll note the orange ribbon I'm wearing that we're going to distribute to all staff and council and encourage people in the community and in schools to take part in that day. In recognition of the statutory holiday, all administrative offices will be closed in our township. We will maintain parks and recreation, and garbage and recycling will continue as is. And user groups certainly will continue as is, but they are also encouraged to reflect, and we'll recognize this by the raising of the orange flag at the township office on September 29th. So more to come on that, and we'll get that out to the community, and certainly so council's aware. We do have two flags. So the flags were hard to come by. It became popular, and we were able to secure two flags. So my suggestion, it's not on the report here, is that we also raise it at the recreation center, because we have the two schools there, but also a number of people from the community coming in there. It's also recognized, as I mentioned, that September 30th is Orange Shirt Day. So staff will be encouraged to participate, and I would encourage council to do that as well. Administration's committed to cultural competency training, and council will be aware that we started that just before the pandemic, and we were working closely with Akwesasne. We've continued to meet with Akwesasne, with Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, to look at areas where we can work together, but also to gain more understanding. Staff does now have yearly equity and inclusion training as part of training, but we need to get more into understanding of truth and reconciliation. And I'll go back to the dates again, 2008 to 2015. There were a lot of recommendations that came out of the report, and indeed a lot of our recommendations either have not been addressed or have been ignored. So we're doing our part as a municipality. We want to be a leader in SDNG. And as the CAO, I'm committed to all means all in our community, and we're pretty proud of sharing the waterfront and the islands. We provide service to Hamilton's Island, for example. And I made a call to Grand Chief Benedict yesterday just to get some advice on a few things, just because I know him from the past, but also I'm not, I'll network with council on, it might not be, I'm suggesting it would be a good idea that if maybe we invite someone, not chief or grand chief, to the community when we raise our flag, would be a really good thing, and to invite the community to come. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I know there's a recommendation there, but I want to thank all staff again for taking part in Orange Shirt Day, and they were certainly appreciative to get the ribbons, and I want to thank council for their support as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. CAO. I certainly want to thank you for your leadership on this, bringing this to the forefront. We've all, it's been a really eye-opening year for a lot of people in regards to how things happened in the past. And I think this is a step, I hope this is a step towards healing and understanding as a country and as a municipality. Are there any other comments of members of council? Seeing none, move by, this is a long one.
For you, Mr. Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
there is Councillor Jaworski had her hand up for comment.
I did not see that, Councillor Jaworski. Put it a little higher.
Right, no. Yeah, maybe I should, sorry, or my timing is off. No, I just wanted to quickly add, echoing what Deputy Mayor Warden has said, and to thank CEO Mills so much for his work, working on this file, and his leadership, and, the things that we've been doing, different projects that we've been working in the background. So I wanted to express my thanks for that, and I think your suggestion of inviting Grand Chief Benedict, that's a fantastic idea. I'd also like just to make a quick, mention that, this is a very important day at the schools, as, most of us know, and so that might be also an opportunity for something that we could do in collaboration with them as well as municipal leaders to perhaps participate in some of their events that they have on that day. So thank you again.
Perfect. No other comments? Seeing none, moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Whereas the Truth and Reconciliation Commission released its final report on June 2nd, 2015, which included 94 calls to action to redress the legacy of residential schools and advance the process of Canadian reconciliation. And whereas the recent discoveries of remains and unmarked graves across Canada have led to increased calls for all levels of government to address recommendations in the TRC's call to action. And whereas recommendation 80 of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission called upon the federal government in collaboration with Aboriginal peoples to establish as a statutory holiday, a national day for truth and reconciliation to ensure that public commemoration of the history and legacy of residential schools remains a vital component of the reconciliation process. And whereas the federal government has announced September 30th, 2021 as the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, National Orange Shirt Day, a statutory holiday. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry does hereby commit to recognizing September 30th, 2021 as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, National Orange Shirt Day. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Madam Clerk, I'd actually like to request a recorded vote on this. I think it's very important. This is a very important resolution, and I'd like to do that. I should have asked before. My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. So I'll go through each councillor and ask you how you vote, and you can say either yay or nay. So Councillor McDonnell, how do you vote?
Your volume's off.
Yes.
Councillor Lang, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Jaworski, how do you vote?
Yay.
And Deputy Mayor Warden,
Yay.
how do you vote? Perfect.
Thank you very much for that, Madam Clerk. I appreciate it. Basically, the next staff, and thank you to Council for supporting that. The next item is something that I asked to be brought forward, and it's basically in the same lines as the staff report. AMO is offering Indigenous community awareness training, and there are dates on the calendar that they are providing these sessions. And I would encourage council to sign up. It's not something that is mandatory, but I will be signing up for it. I think learning more on this file would go a long way for helping us towards the reconciliation and understanding. So not really a discussion, but I just asked that it be put forward. If there's any questions, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor Warden. I think this is a wonderful thing that you brought forward. I think this is an excellent opportunity to learn more, and AMO has really high quality training. I know not that long ago, myself and Councillor Lang participated in a equity and inclusion training put on by AMO that was a very thought-provoking, training. I thought that was super valuable, and I would expect that this would be, just as good. And I think it's, I encourage anyone who is able to participate to do so.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the next item. Committee report, CIP minutes. Those are for information. 7 counts, yes.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So
Yep.
There were 2 items pulled from information only. That would be next on the agenda, being the planning and infrastructure departmental updates.
Thank you. I just need to get to that. That was myself. There's lots of pages. Okay, so basically, I just want all council and the public to know, I recently was able to, I recently had to apply for a permit for a construction for a project that I'm helping out with on a personal level, and I just wanted to congratulate staff on the ease of use of this new digital permit application software that's used. I don't consider myself tech savvy, but it certainly gives you a step-by-step process. And I just wanted to congratulate staff and thank them for pushing this forward. I think as someone who has never applied for a building permit before, I thought the process was very, very down to earth and common sense. So I just wanted to bring those comments for staff and Ms. Haley, if you could pass that along down to your whole building department. I just was really taken aback at how easy it was.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. It's always nice to pass on some positive comments, and I appreciate your feedback as well. And I would like council to advocate on our behalf for this program, because unfortunately we have very little uptake. I think people in the community are kind of afraid to take the technical side, even though, as you indicated, you found it quite easy. We're certainly trying to push that and helping people, but we need a few more people to come on board. So if you can spread that word, that would be really helpful. But thank you again for that feedback, and I'll gladly pass that on to staff.
Be my pleasure too. Are there any questions or comments on this staff report besides mine? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. It's the water, wastewater. Basically, I was Mr. LeBlanc or Dylan, I'm not sure if both are on. I'd like an update on where we are at in regards to finding the water leakages in Glen Walter. At our last meeting a month ago, council made it very clear that the water that's disappearing in the system is a huge urgency. And I was just wondering if we could get an update as to what's being done to stop that from happening, and if there's any update on that.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor Warden. So we do have an idea where a couple leaks are. We did have some leak detection done this summer, and we are still tackling them into the fall. hopefully we have most of them tackled by time winter rolls around, and we still are looking after it every day.
So is there anything that you need, like, I just want you to make sure that you understand that if you need something from council, let us know if it's a budgeting thing, because this is a top priority for the municipality, is to stop the water leaking. So I just want to make sure that if there's anything you need from us, please don't call me.
Yes, no, for
And
sure.
we will talk as a council and get you whatever you need, because it's a very, very serious issue that we're facing in the Glenwalter area.
Yes, so we will definitely be on top of that in the coming weeks before winter.
I certainly appreciate that. Is there any other comments or questions, council? Okay, I guess I'm doing all the talking today. My apologies. Thank you very much, Dylan. I appreciate it. Moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Sam McDonnell. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry accepts the items presented on the agenda as committee reports and for information only. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. And I believe we are about to convene into closed session. Moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that council convene into closed session at 2:42 p.m. to discuss the following items under section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. 2, a meeting or part of a meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter discussed is B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, verbal update, staffing matter, staff report 134-2021, K, instructions to be applied to negotiations, staff report 135-2021. I'd like to thank all members, all those in favor of the motion. Motion is carried. I'd like to thank all members of the public for attending the meeting, and we will be back to wrap up the meeting after this